Hello, everyone. It's been a long time since I have been on here to do a rose reading. And as you can probably see, there is a new environment that I'm in. I moved house a few months back now, and it's taken time to settle. It's taken time to settle in a new location and to be ready to be visible again and to share the roses. It has been a deep, deep dive of transformation. It's been a deep dive of exploring and sharing a completely new way of my work in the world. And I'm just delighted to be able to come back in and offer rose readings again and to be able to explore and experience new connections in this magical work. Goodness, I mean, we are in intense times of transformation on planet Earth, and not one of us is untouched by the shifts that we're experiencing on the outer landscape of our lives, and obviously on our inner landscape too. Cannot be one without the other. And we are coming into a new moon tomorrow here in the UK, and that's about 4 o'clock in the morning in the UK. So it will be late evening this evening, EST. And from there, you can calculate where else that might be, where you're located. You know, these are extraordinary times, and each one of these new and full moons is a pulse point. It is offering us a new insight, a new opportunity of release, a new start in our co-creation with our own heart frequency and what is manifesting on the outer screen of our lives, but also what we are witnessing of our connection into what's unfolding for us here in our communities, in our families, and also in the collective frequency. So, this new moon in Gemini, as I say, about 7 degrees of Gemini, the new moon will offer us a new insight, a new inspiration. But perhaps with this particular new moon, because it's in an air sign, Gemini, that it's offering us something that's connected into the ideas, into our communication, into that inner inspiration that can be offering us little chinks or insights into this new piece of the pathway ahead. What are you What have you been incubating? What are you in readiment to start to bring out in the world and to voice into the world? The other interesting thing about this new moon is that Saturn has just moved into Aries. And as somebody with a moon in Pisces, this has been a fairly epic journey of being in the deep process of the Pisces party in water, and this move into the air signs and into the fire of Aries. And Saturn moving into Aries, this is the first time it's done that since 97, 98. So you might want to look back on your own timeline and see what was happening for you in that time. What might be coming round in that next evolutionary octave to understand what needs to be perhaps integrated at another level or perhaps even released at another level. I have been walking along a contemplative process, and it's very interesting that sometimes what I'm given are songs that come up in my consciousness when I'm just sitting and tuning into the energy or tuning into what might be my next process, my next pathway forward. And this particular week, one of the songs that came up was a song called Skyline Pigeon by Elton John. And it's not a song that I'm, overly familiar with. I could hear the sound playing in my mind, and I have to say that in my little nook of where I normally sit to meditate or to contemplate, I look out onto the garden, and we've got some pretty substantial pigeons here that strut up and down the fence line. And I did wonder whether that was my link in consciousness that brought in Skyline Pigeon. But I was drawn to have a look at the lyrics. And one of the lyrics that really caught my attention um, was about, it said, fly towards the dreams you left so very far behind. And that seemed to tap in really nicely with this whole process that Saturn moving into Aries invites us into a reflection point. You know, what was happening for you in 97, 98? What were the keynotes of what you were experiencing in your life at that point? I mean, that is for those of you listening, of course, um, that were born before then. But it's just fascinating, how we get these cycles, these nudges of energy, of themes that come up when we re-enter, especially these big movers in the charts that hold such key foundational pieces in our soul's journey. Saturn, so much about structure. What was happening in the structure of your life? What are you restructuring? What are you wanting to bring forward in a new way now? What has reformed itself in this period of time that is inviting you to step forward in the world, fully embracing this different aspect of yourself? Um, Structure. I'm all air and water. Me. That's my that's my keynote. Moon in Pisces, Sun in Aquarius, Ascendant Gemini. So this is structure in my life is not something that I have necessarily found easy. And and the mastery of Saturn is something that we're all called to at some point because of our journey here on the earth, that we need to have that structure and form that enables all the rest of it to be held and to be shared in a grounded and present way. So, having said that, shall we have a look and see what the roses might have to offer us as wisdom in this upcoming period from this new moon into the full moon that's coming up in June? So let's have a look. So the first rose that's come up is Rose Angel 9. And Rose Angel 9 is obviously part of the Rose Angels. And these Rose Angels are the transformers for the 5 wounds to love of abandonment, betrayal, denial, judgment, and separation. And they sit in the chakra system in the body. And they can be quite useful way showers when we're aware of where we might be holding any tension or any discomfort, any pain, any physical issues that can these energies can give us an insight as to what might be the emotional storyline that we might be working with to release, or that might have a message for us. So this particular rose, Rose Angel 9, sits on the sacral chakra, the base sacral chakras, And base is really our tribal imprint. I'm Sandra Marie. Here I am. I've arrived. And as I evolve, I activate more fully into the sacral chakra, which holds my sensuality, my sexuality, my creativity, procreativity, my comfort with holding value, which in our terminology is money. All of these complex things are held in here. But what this rose is bringing our attention to is the wound of abandonment, where we might experience being abandoned physically, or where we might abandon ourselves. How many times have we been inspired by something and then not followed it through, or abandoned our inner knowing? And this rose is the salve of self-love, self-value, self-esteem. And that has to be at the foundation. So again, we come back to this Saturn piece, Saturn moving into Aries, the absolute foundation of our ability to walk with courage and with self-awareness in the world is a sense of self-love, self-value, self-esteem. I am worthy. I am enough. And to allow that to sit as the underpinning, it's like the base of Maslow's triangle. We cannot take that journey up unless we are fully foundated in this base chakra, base second chakra, base and sacral chakra. So here she is with her question, or with her nudge, or with her affirmation about the value that we hold when we bring that sense of sacred honoring of self. I am worthy, I am enough. So this is our first message coming in on this new moon. Maybe this is the new you for this new moon that fully embraces this and that can hold that sense within self as foundation. Let's see what they've got to add to that. And actually, just to say, you might like to just gently place a hand on your heart and breathe in that affirmation, I am worthy and I am enough. And what wants to be shared from there. So, these roses are alive. They have, the more we engage with them, the more they will work with us. This is the invitation. This is the opportunity that we have to take it in at a cellular level, the wisdom that they might offer us. So let's see what the second one is. And that is Rose 9. Rose 9 is one of the original roses that came from my journey and my experience at the Alhambra in Granada in 2010. And actually, it was this week in 2010, so this is 15 years ago, when the roses started their first communication with me, and I had this clairaudient connection with an energy that said, we'd like you to put 11 of us together and work with us. I'd come back from the Alhambra with loads of roses from the rose gardens, and that was what had come forward for me. And of course, one of the questions I asked was, well, whose voice is this? Who am I listening to? And what I heard was, we are the Sisterhood of the Rose. And we work alongside the Brotherhood of the Rose and the White Light Brotherhood. And we have come forward as guides for this work. And the energy that we'll be communicating with you is the energy of Lady Nada. And Lady Nada, as many of you will know, is the overlighting soul of Mary Magdalene. So this has been a beautiful connection and weave all through my life in this last 15 years in particular. Um, and the wisdom and the pure love that these roses offer are just their way showers and guides on this journey home to ourselves, home to love. And the deeper we connect, the more they will work with us. It's very simple, really. So this rose, rose 9, actually is one of my favorites. So whenever I've traveled, this is a rose that I've held very close to me as in one of the rose mats that I normally keep in stock, but at, at this current time don't have. Um, but rose 9 sits on the solar plexus. And she is like the Sekhmet of roses. She's like, don't mess with me. I know who I am and I have good boundaries. And this rose, there's nothing fluffy about this rose. And actually, if you look very carefully at her outer petals, they are thick, they are veined, they are wisdom in themselves. They have a strength, they have a resource. It's like this rose is really held, and she's got very clear form. No, she holds within her this the deepest orange, which is holding our creative principle. Orange is a very creative, communicative color, but she holds a strength. She holds a resource, and goodness me, do we need that at this time? So many of us that are sensitives work from the solar plexus. We process through the solar plexus. And that can be a real challenge in navigating these times because there is so much in flux with the solar flares, solar plexus, and the coronal mass ejections, the upshifting in the frequency, but also the energies that are running in the collective. That, we, if you have an empathic nature, have a tendency to connecting with whether you're conscious that that's what you're doing or not. But this rose also holds a real sense of a protective power. So she's a really good ally to call in and feel her strength on the solar plexus if you are feeling wobbly or vulnerable. You can feel her strength when you connect in. So, actually, just as an invitation again, put your hand on your higher heart and just breathe her in and feel her into your solar plexus. There is a resource that she can bring in that can help. And so, what is our third rose from the Rose Oracle deck? So, and the third rose is rose 4. Now, this is really interesting because I have a group online um, called the Rose Sanctuary, and I will put a link in the descriptor below that's got a link to the Rose Sanctuary. Should you feel to join that on, it's a private Facebook group, but I do a reading every week, a rose focus reading every week. And this is the rose, interestingly, that has come up in the sanctuary group this week. So this rose is actually a rose called the chocolate rose. And there's a an interesting little story as to how I happened to have this photograph. But this came to me before, way before, years before I actually went to the Alhambra. So she knew something. This rose knew something when she came to me. So this rose sits on the liver chakra. And many of you will know that my background, my energy anatomy, has come from my training in pranic healing. I trained with Master Cho and with other master teachers within pranic healing from 2000. And it's always been my go-to energetic framework for healing. And so it made its way into the Rose One set, in particular in the Rose Oracle, which form a chakra grid on the body. And in pranic healing, we also work with the liver and we work with the spleen chakras, as well as a front and back solar plexus. So, Rose 9, for instance, works on the front solar plexus. There is another rose that she co creates with in the solar plexus chakra, which is Rose 7, actually. But Rose 4 sits on that area of the body, right hand side, just at the lower right rib. And if you look at this from a Chinese medicine perspective, you know, the liver is the seat of anger. And it's also the major detoxification organ in the body. So this is really a rose that is nudging us to let go of anything that we are still holding on to. And that may be another reflective piece, looking back to 97, 98. What was going on for you there? Is there another piece that wants to reveal itself, that wants to be released? Also, I've always seen that the liver is the gatekeeper for grief. When we are reactive, when we have a response that triggers anger within the body, there is usually unprocessed grief that's sitting on the liver, on the lungs. And this rose has got water droplets set in her. And I feel that there may be something else here that this rose is inviting you to see, whether there is still something that you haven't quite come to the place of being able to alchemize and release that may be connected into your lungs. So she is offering us another nudge. Now, since I last did a rose reading here as a live, I have birthed and published another set of cards, which many of you may well already have. And they are the rose dragons. This is the little inner box that goes inside the main package of the rose dragons. But they are 18 roses that came to me when I moved to Somerset, and I was drawn to go to Borough Mump, this beautiful energy node that is on the Michael Mary line. It's the node before Glastonbury Tour. And it was there that the Rose Dragons spoke to me just over 2 years ago now. The Rose Dragon set was actually published at summer solstice last year. So it's just coming up to its first anniversary. And I'm also speaking at the Dragon Thunder Summit, which is 13th of July coming up. And I will be sharing more of the information that's come through from the Rose Dragons. But there are 5 elemental Rose Dragons and 13 celestial Rose Dragons. And they have beautiful wisdom to share with us. So I'm going to see if there is a Rose Dragon that wants to come forward that has got wisdom to add to our 3 cards from the main oracle. So the rose dragon that's come forward to add into this is the elemental rose dragon of earth. And this is the substance, this is the particulate aspect of these 4 elements that join together with the elemental rose dragon of ether, the quintessence. So this rose really is inviting us to connect in to the substance, out into our substance, to take time to ground, to take time to really connect in with the earth, being aware of the earth beneath our feet. Perhaps when we're out walking in nature, to bring our attention to every step and the relationship through the soles of our feet with the energetics of the earth. This is really important for us at this time, that we understand that this vessel is of the earth. This vessel is made up of earth, air, fire, and water in almost the same proportions as Mother Earth. This vessel comes from the earth and returns to the earth. And it is our journey partner in this incarnational adventure that we're on. So, working with the elemental rose dragon of earth is helping us to ground the fire that is the energy that is current with the energy in Aries, or the Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries. And also we have got Jupiter in Gemini in air, and we've got this new moon in an air sign. So fire and air are not stable energies. So the elemental rose dragon of earth is inviting us into that remembrance. So there we are. That's our reading for this new moon in Gemini. Rose Angel 9, Rose 9, and Rose 4, and the elemental rose dragon of earth. Now I'm intending to get this out, which is today, Monday, here, and it's a bank holiday Monday here in the UK. So there is also on the newsletter, there is an invitation to an introduction to the mandalas of love and a healing event that is on tomorrow evening, actually, here in the UK. And there is also an invitation to explore my new Mandalas of Love Level 1 course that starts on the 19th of June for 6 months. And it is a wonderful, wonderful exploration of the power of the roses. It's a deep dive into all of the levels of the roses and the rose dragons, and to be able to create these amazing mandalas of love, which are transformative processes, both internally and for our homes and the earth. And so you might like to explore that, whether you'd like to come on this 6-month journey with me. Anyway, beautiful to connect again. I hope the reading resonates, and wishing you a very blessed new moon in Gemini. Much love.